Hello friends, you're with the Lonesome Gamer and I'm playing 18EU. Now this is going to be a rather short video because we're going to see only the stock round and then one more set of operating rounds, and especially in the stock round there's not going to happen a lot. People will get to their certificate limit and these three players already are there, so only these two will buy a couple of shares. The only really interesting stuff that's out there is the Deutsche Reichsbahn shares, and I think we only have 2 or 3 of them left. The SNCF, the French company here, isn't terribly good, and the Netherlands, the Dutch company, maybe they are worth investing. It's hard to tell. They might be okay. Okay, so yeah, starting with this guy here, I don't think he's going to do anything. The Prussian is making solid money. It's the thing, maybe it makes sense to exchange shares. Nah, I don't think so. The Prussian has an 8 train, the Reichsbahn has a 6 train, so I guess we're gonna hold on to shares of the Prussian. And yeah, I think it's basically these two players who will just fill up their portfolio to certificate limit. So it's the end of the stock round, and yeah, only these guys here bought a couple of shares. There are shares left now of the Dutch and the French companies. All the others will rise in value. Yeah, okay. And now we start our last but one operating round, as usual with the FS. And yeah, it's a shame, but there is no way for them to get through here. If they had $5 more or $4 more, they could blast through here and then make their run to Paris. But yeah, I mean, that makes no sense to swallow now or something for these $5. So it seems we have to live with what we have here. At least we can make the connection here now to Lyon. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, okay, we can run that train. We could even make it a 9 down here, and then, because we have a longer train, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. That's gonna be a good run. So the Belgians finally managed to cut through here. It was a long way. But now they can run all the way here like this. And from London to Warsaw, that's a pretty good run with an 8 train. I think it's only 6, so it's a little bit of a waste, but still. And the 5 train will run down here, I guess, basically as a 3 train. I'm gonna upgrade this. I have an extra city upgrade, so I can use that here to get a little extra money. But yeah, that is that's not really that great. But okay, at least we will get some solid money here. Now look at that, that is really impressive. The Belgians actually made more than the FS. I really didn't expect that at all, but they did. In the end, they had the East-West run, gives a ton of money. That was worth more than 500 on its own. And I mean, there's Paris, there is over here Cologne. So even though it's a pretty short train, they hit two high-value cities. And yeah, this route here through Italy is just not that valuable. For an 8 train, it is much less valuable than the London-Warsaw route, although that was just 7. But that gives a ton of money compared to the stuff down here. So the Reichsbahn, they upgraded Frankfurt. It helps them both, the Prussian and the Reichsbahn. So that's good for them. And they're gonna drop their last token here in Vienna. It doesn't help them, but it hurts the Bavarian, because they had that run from, I think it was from here like this, and then they skipped Prague and went down here, because they have that train which can skip one single city. But now that route is not going to be longer possible, because the 2 consecutive cities are blocked. So they cannot skip here anymore. They got to figure out something else. And yeah, they might be able to upgrade this now and then make a run from Paris that way, which might be even better. But I simply didn't know what else to do with my token, and I had one left, so I dropped it there. So the Austrians did an upgrade here on Frankfurt. Sadly, they don't have a token that they can drop here, but still. And then they have an extra town upgrade, this one here. And they're going to use that on Augsburg. And let's see. We can grab this and do this. And now we're going to have a fantastic run. It's the best run with a single train in this game. There's no doubt. We have the 8 train. We can run from Bucharest to London. So it's Bucharest, Budapest, Vienna, Prague, Munich. Augsburg gives another 20. Frankfurt. That's Cologne. And then it's London. And that is fantastic. And eventually I can see that Cologne might also get upgraded. It's a massive run. It is really good. I mean, okay, they only have... And then they have that second 2 train, which can again run from Vienna to Budapest. So that is fantastic. So let's do the calculations. I wonder if they are better than the 8-5 combinations of the FS or the B. So yeah, let's find out. Okay, that is crazy. That single train alone runs for 670 bucks. That is amazing. And then we get another 110 for the small one. So it's 780, and that is clearly the best run. Impressive. Seems like the Bavarian has to do this. If they could kind of build around here a little bit or make a connection north here, they could have also a lot of options. So that leaves them with a potentially very powerful last run. But for now, they have to make the upgrade here. And so in Strasbourg, and they're going to drop a token there. Excuse me. Now that allows them basically a solid run with a 5 train. It's just going to be a London-Warsaw run like this, but that is only 4, but still it's pretty good. And then the 8 train will go 1, 2. They're going to skip Munich. They have to do it. Next turn, if they make a connection here, they could also take Munich, but that's not possible right now. So it's going to be 1, 2, then Frankfurt, which is a little bit better. 3. Then they skip Dresden, go to Berlin, 4, 5, and then 6 here. I think this is right now the best I have. So I'm not going really to the max. I'm driving the 5 as a 4 and the 8 as a 6. But I still think it's a solid run. And as I said, next time there might be even better options. And that is even 79 of the Bavarian. And there is potential. They're definitely going to crack the 80 next run if things don't go wrong. Maybe if someone drops a token in Frankfurt, it's not that great for them. But still, I find it very interesting to see that the FS, although they have the same train, are that far behind just because Italy is so poor. I mean, Germany is really a rich area, and you have all the dots here. Some of them are 20. That makes a big difference in this game. Now here's an interesting thing I kind of just discovered. I thought about upgrading Dresden to get 10 additional bucks. But the thing is, if I do that, then in the next turn, someone can upgrade it to brown and then jump in, and this becomes a free city, and this advantage for me that I block this city is gone. But instead, what I can do is I can upgrade one of these green tiles with a dot, and I can upgrade them to 20, and it also gives me 10 additional bucks. So maybe that is something that should have happened a little more. For example, instead of upgrading Frankfurt, I also could have upgraded one of these dots. And it's an interesting idea, you know, to say, okay, we hold back upgrading the cities and opening them for other people, and instead we upgrade the dots. Of course, when you upgrade to green, a yellow dot to green, you don't get that 10 additional bucks immediately. So overall, it probably is still a good idea to upgrade at least these cities to gray, because the 60 are really powerful. Now the Prussian runs incredibly 700 with a single train and a Pullman. They go from London to Warsaw, but they're gonna go here via Antwerp, or was it? I think it's Amsterdam actually. Amsterdam. Here we have Dortmund, Frankfurt. They take Augsburg, and so basically like this. Dresden. Here this is Leipzig, Berlin, and Warsaw. So, and then they get 5 bonus dots and the Pullman for London. So that is an amazingly strong run with a single train. It's nearly as good as the guys which hold a 5 and an 8 train. I mean, it's really hard to believe that, but yeah, this is a very rich area, and it's just getting better and better. I can spot a pretty good run for the Dutch company if they upgrade this. And this is so fascinating about this, you know, and it might be also part of the Lawson track. There's so many incredible options going on here. So they can now start in Berlin and go actually up to here, the harbor of Marseille. So if they go like this via Hamburg, and then they can go here like this to, well, that's Dortmund, I think. make their way here like this. Amsterdam, go all the way down here, hit Brussels, continue their way down here, or taking the dots in Switzerland, and then we have here Lyon, Marseille, and the harbor. And I think this is an 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think that's pretty good. They're going to miss on London or Paris, but I think it's still pretty awesome because of Berlin and the Dortmund. So that's pretty good, I guess. The FS had a massive improvement to 80 now. They changed their routes again. They did again the Bucharest-Rome route with a 5 train, with a longer 5 train, so technically a 6 train. And the other one was then the Budapest Cologne Dortmund route. They can hit this. This is open now. They can get Augsburg for 20. They can go here. So this is much better now for them. This is just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 instead of 8. So that's not that great, but still it's an improvement because this is so much more valuable here. The 220 dots and all that. This is better than running the 8 down here in Italy. And they get the bonus for Rome. So this is an additional 90 for the dots here. This is much better than running the 8 down here in Italy. But that only works because Frankfurt is now so valuable and it's open. So the Belgians now running for 82. Once here, the first train is a 5 train which just runs as a 4 from London down there, going through all the dots here, Hamburg, Berlin, Warsaw, and grabbing an additional bonus of 60 for the dots. And the other one goes from London the other way out here, then south here, here, Strasbourg, up here through Frankfurt, Leipzig, and then hitting Prague with 60, which is also great. So that brings it then overall to 82, and that's the best company until now. So the Bavarian now, they have a massive run. It's all open, and I'm pretty sure they can now probably make the best run of the game. So with a 5 train, they're gonna go, wait a minute. Yeah, the idea was that they can jump they can skip one city, one blocked city. So if they go like this, hit this, it's a 1, 2, then take all this stuff, go through here, and it's important to see that they go like this. So the other train can go like this. So if they hit this, oops, that's a 3, 4, and 5. They make their run to Warsaw. And the other train can start here in Berlin via Hamburg, then go here. And, well, he might as well take this 20 dot, go here, and then take this in. No, actually the other one comes from this side. So, yeah, he's going to go like this, take this, then he can go here, Frankfurt, Munich, Strasbourg, Paris. And that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So he can fully drive his 5 and his 8 train, and he can connect 2 off-board locations. Granted, it gives him only 2 extra dots, but it's amazing. Maybe if he can, wait a minute, maybe there is a way to actually, if he skips this like this, maybe he can do the run with the 8 train, and that would be interesting. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Then we connect the two off-board locations, and we can take 4 dots. And you know what? There's still one left. So I might as well throw that in here. I'm pretty sure there is a way to actually do that. And then I'm gonna fiddle around with a 5 train somehow here. And yeah, I think that's gonna be even better for me. We'll find a way here. I can end in Paris and then go somehow like this and take 1, 2, I don't know, something like 3, and then, I don't know. I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure I can figure something out there, and this is going to be amazing. Okay, we have it. We have the run beyond 1,000. The run is 1,070, and the small train started here in Dresden via Berlin, Hamburg, Dortmund, taking the dots here, going down here, and then going here to Paris. The other train starts in London down here, skips Brussels. That's the special ability of his company. Goes here. Then we have here Strasbourg. He continues moving, Augsburg, Munich, goes up here, goes back to Frankfurt, then north here, takes Cologne, Dortmund, the dots here, Berlin, and then makes his way to Warsaw. And he hits 5 tokens. That gives him an additional bonus of 150. So overall, that is a run of 1,070. So 107 per share. That is totally sick. So we're done. It's the end of the game. The last companies didn't run terribly great. We have a 73 of the Prussian, that was a good one. The Dutch ran for 53, which was an improvement, and the French ran for 41, which was also an improvement. Here Marseille is at 60 now, and a couple of good cities down here, but in the end, I mean, compared to the others, it's obviously pretty ridiculous. We can see that clearly here. We have now, the Bayerische running here like crazy for 107, and then the Austrian, Belgian, Italian over here. The Prussian. The Prussian is the best company with a single train, and I mean, they have a Pullman, obviously, and then here the Deutsche Reichsbahn, the Dutch, and the French behind. Okay, that's it. This is the share values. The FS is clearly the best with 245. The Belgian is at 200. And we have a big stack here. The Austrians, the Bavarian, and the Prussian all at 150. Yeah, and the last is the French at 90. Okay, so we're done. We got to count now all the money, all the share values. We're going to do that obviously off camera. I'm placing my bets on this guy. He seems to have the most money, and I'm pretty convinced he has the best share value. But we'll see. Okay, so yeah, we're at the end of the game. It was pretty close. I hope you can see that here. So player 1, the guy up here. Well, let's start with the worst guy. That is him. That's no big surprise. I mean, he was really doing terribly bad. He had to buy trains from his cash and so on. He's sitting at 3896. So that was really poor. Money-wise, he's only holding 2024. That's kind of half of what the leader has. So yeah, I mean, he's really, really bad. 3,896. Second player is that one, and I thought he was performing a little better, holding the Austrians. 5,201 overall. But yeah, he just didn't do that great. I mean, yeah. The third player is 5,713. This guy over here, I mean, he couldn't be super happy either. He has quite a bit of money. Money-wise, he's really doing good. He's in the range of the others. He holds, yeah, I mean, not quite. 3,400. The others are at about 4,000. But his shares, yeah, I mean, they're just not that great. And it's really close between the leading players. This guy here, he has 6,774, and this guy here is sitting at 6,946. So yeah, it's about 170 difference. That is not that much. I mean, it's also not terrible, but it's money-wise, they are really very, very close. This guy has 4,000 and about 60. He's sitting on 4,125, but he holds the better shares, and there is no doubt about that. He has 6 shares of the strongest companies and also 3 shares of the Belgian, and these are simply the 2 best companies. He holds 5 shares of the Belgian, 2 shares of the strongest companies. So yeah, it's just not quite as good. He has 1 additional share though, because he holds 2 presidencies. That is clearly an advantage. But yeah, the 6 shares here of the Bavarian, they gave a lot of revenue, but they were just not outstanding in share value. If he could have, I don't know, maybe if the Bavarian performed 1 or 2 turns earlier, like they did in the last round, where there came this massive jump beyond 1,000, you know, maybe then he might have won it. Maybe if he had just 1 more OR. It is possible, because, I mean, it's insane. He's making, it's hard to tell. He's making about, let me see, no, that's not quite true. I mean, he's making about close to $30 more per share. So 6 shares here, that's about, I mean, compared to the FS, it's so we're talking about $180. It comes close, but of course, then also the share value would have risen, and that is an advantage for the FS again. So it nearly equals out there, because the FS is quite a bit ahead of the Bavarian. So what they gain less in revenue, they can make up with the compensation for the shares here, because the steps just are bigger down there than they are here, or up there than they are here. Okay. It's not super surprising. I think he was pretty much in the lead from very early on. That chance to make a connected major company, to merge all 3 together, I think that was pretty strong for him. He could operate early on really well, while the others were much more struggling. This company made a ton of money, and I don't know if they had to swallow, maybe a couple of, I think half maybe or something, but they didn't really have to swallow. Actually, I think very, very few companies actually swallowed. I think a couple of them swallowed half. I'm not even sure if anybody actually swallowed. But yeah, that was definitely pretty cool. The longer train is awesome. The city value increase is great, especially if you have 2 trains. So, and the train discount helped too. These are 2 really good companies, or 3 really good companies. And the fact that they were all together gave him some really nice options. That easy run from Rome to Bucharest, that really easy off-board run that connects the 2 off-boards,
with 3 tokens in between is pretty cool. Really interesting things going on here on the map, and I gotta say, coming to my final thoughts or whatever, I think this is one of the best 18xx games that I've ever played. Right now I see it on my number 2. I think it is really absolutely amazing. I mean, obviously it's, it's for anyone's taste. Everybody has its own taste, and but it actually before I played that now for a second time, there was 1822 on number 2, and that reminds me a little bit on that, with the miners at the beginning, with all the special abilities of the small companies, and then later that of the major companies. But what I love about this game is that the map is so interesting, and I think there are not many maps that are as interesting as this one. It's a very interesting dynamic you have here. First of all, I like it when a game is dot friendly, because it encourages you to try some interesting maneuvers just to get additional dots and all. I just kind of like that, and stuff like this. I think that's kind of cool. In addition, the tiles are really interesting. The way the Y tiles work is very, very, that really adds a lot to the game. The fact that they stay blocked when they upgrade to green, and only open when they upgrade to brown, and that leads to an interesting dynamic. People are kind of hesitating to upgrading it to green, because someone else then might upgrade it to brown and place a dot in there, or a token in there. And this is an interesting aspect. If you control 2 companies, you can try to plan ahead so that the first company upgrades to green, so that then the second company can upgrade to brown and throw a token there and stuff like that. I really love that. And it feels a little similar with the bigger cities. Here it's a little different. They become double cities already in green. So that leads to an interesting aspect. When all the minor companies connect, if you only connect the Y cities, you will end up at a point where you can basically only, or often you can run 2 trains or maybe 3 trains if you're in the middle of 2 cities. But if you're not connected with cities that, well, basically you only have a single token, right? So as long as you run your minor companies, you can only always run to adjacent cities. You can never run beyond them, except for these non-Y cities. They will upgrade to a double city, so you can run through them. So that leads you to interesting decisions. Do I want to connect with another Y city, which will block me in green? Or do I want to connect to a standard city, which is a little cheaper, but I can run through it, hopefully, in green? And I mean, probably, because when green comes up, usually there are very few companies on the board that actually do have already tokens. That's what I've seen. And yeah, it's similar with these big cities, right? You can upgrade them. I mean, they stay 2 cities until they're brown, and then at some point they open up to these gray cities. So people are kind of hesitating upgrading them to brown, because someone else might then upgrade them to gray and go through there. So this is really interesting, and it leads to this effect where at some point at the very end of the game, the map tends to open up, which is interesting because usually it's more the other way around. But here you have then these gray cities showing up, and that gives new options to run through, and I think that's pretty cool, actually. So yeah, I love what's going on here. Also, the fact that you get a bonus when you run from an off-board location to an off-board location. I just enjoy things like that a lot, and I love it when the companies have to buy the tokens in advance, because that means they will probably place them. You get a real token war in this game. If you have to pay for a token during the game, you usually calculate very narrow. You want to make sure you get your trains, but very often you don't care too much about the tokens. So at the end of the game, it's quite likely that there are still tokens left on the companies. Here, it's not so. I mean, usually, if you have a token, you can place it if it gives you an advantage, and it doesn't cost you anything. And sometimes you might just place a token to block somebody, or place a token to get a couple of additional bucks for the red to red run. So tokening is really encouraged here, and great. Just great. That's what I can say. I totally enjoyed that game. I love the pace of the game. I love games that start with minor companies and where at some point then majors come into the game. And I love it if not everybody starts its own major in the first round, and then I don't know, in the next OR or in the next stock round or the third stock round, everybody starts his second major on a high price to kind of help the first major company. You know, your standard 1830 tactics or strategies. I love it if you have something like this. It's something new, and it's not new at all. Basically, it's a really old game, but it leads you to a total different challenge, basically, and just great. Okay, so this is pretty much all I can say about it. Yeah, and hope to see you on the next video or on lonesomegamer.com. Bye.